Hi guys, it's me Terry of the Yarnjoy podcast. So last week I did a video, it was a yarn haul video, I think, yeah. Anyway, and I had said in that video that I was going to flash my stash because I had been moving around and kind of reorganizing a little bit of my yarns, and so I think I kind of was happy with the way the reorganizing turned out, and so I was wanting to show you what I did. Well, in that video, Petra of the Sosa family had commented on my video, and she was getting ready to do a flash her stash video as well, and so we started messaging back and forth, and we thought, well, how about if we turn it into kind of like a tag slash challenge, I guess, video. And so what we decided to do is we came up with 5 questions, and I was looking on my phone here, making sure my phone was awake so I can see my notes. So we came up with 5 questions that we were going to answer, kind of like a tag, okay? And then we'll answer the questions, and then we'll flash our stash of yarn, okay? And then it's kind of like a tag because we have questions that we're both going to answer the same questions, but it's going to be more like a challenge because I'm not going to tag anybody at the end in particular to do the video because I don't want to put anybody on the spot. Some people may not want to flash their stash, but if you want to, if you have a interesting way of organizing your yarn or helpful tips of organizing your yarn, please, I ask you to go ahead and do it because I think it would be fun. I'm always up for new ideas and learning new things. I get so many great ideas from watching other people's videos and reading comments of my subscribers and off of other videos. So this is going to be a challenge. If you want to, please make a video and answer the 5 questions, flashing your stash, okay? So I'm going to do my video today, and then Petra is going to do hers next week, okay? So anybody wants to do it, jump right in and do it along with us. Okay, so the 5 questions are, question number 1, what do you like to store your yarn in? Okay, so I've stored my yarn in different things. I've only had this craft room for, I want to say 3 years, 4. This is going to be the 4th year pretty soon. But anyway, before that, I did not have a designated room for my crafts. My craft supplies were all over the place, under the bed, in the corner of the living room. You know, I mean, I had them all over the place, just wherever I could fit my stuff. But then my oldest son got married and moved out of the house, and so we turned in one of the bedrooms, or his bedroom, into my craft room, and I finally got a craft room. But like I said, I used to not have one. For the longest time I didn't have one. So you just kind of make things work as far as where you put your yarn and how you store it. So this is what I'm doing currently. Okay, so in my craft room I have a antique wardrobe that my mom bought at a garage sale and I ended up with it. And so inside the wardrobe I have some shoe organizers, hanging shoe organizers, and that have the little cubbies, and so I put my worsted weight in there, my worsted weight yarns. Okay, well, back there you see that I do have a bookcase, and I'm using 2 shelves for some yarns there, and then I have a closet over here that got a couple of shelves over here that has yarn in them. So at the end, after I answer the questions, then I will show you my yarn. Okay, number 2 is, do you sort it by brand, color, weight, content? How do you sort it? Okay, well, I mainly sort mine by weight. as far as content, all of my yarn pretty much is acrylic. I have some cotton, but everything else pretty much is acrylic. I have a couple little fancy yarns that has some wool or wool blends or whatever, but mostly is acrylic. So usually I kind of sort it by weight more than content. You know, I have worsted, I have baby yarns, I have cotton in another place, like that, okay, mainly. I mean, there's some random ones here and there, but mainly they're that way. Now, I have a subcategory of my worsted, because I have the most of the worsted weight, where I have my shiny, what I call my shiny yarns, which is like the Karen Simply Soft, the Bernat Satin, which I'm not sure if I have any of that, but you know what I'm talking about, that it's got kind of a shiny, like the Karen Simply Soft, okay? Well, there's a couple of brands that are similar to that, and so I put those together, okay? But and then all my other worsted weight is like all my other. So, and of course then I keep my cakes separate. So, you know, I kind of sort them by, first and foremost, the weight. Yeah, weight and the fiber content, and then brand, kinda, but loosely, okay? Okay, number 3 is, do you like to keep basic colors or brands on hand, or do you only buy yarn with a particular project in mind? Well, kind of both, sort of. Mostly when I go to buy yarn, it's for a particular project, usually. I'm not really that kind of person that will see it and say, oh, it's so pretty, I like this, I'll buy it, and then I'll figure out what to make later. I'm not usually that way, not too much, because the first thing in my thought is, oh, it's pretty yarn, I like this colorway or whatever, what would I make with it? You know. Now, I have gotten more into keeping some stuff on hand, but that's usually like basic colors like black, brown, white, just because, like, if there's a sale, because I know that I'm going to use black yarn on something, or I'm going to be using brown, you know, with the amigurumis and things that I like to make. I do use browns a lot at times, you know, for some animals and things. And of course white, I'm always using white for bordering or amigurumis or whatever. So yes, I do like to keep some of that, like a supply of it. You know, it's like, oh, I'm out of that brown Cafe Latte Red Heart Super Saver is one of my favorites. So I always make sure I have it on hand. You know, if I run out, then whenever it's on sale, I will grab a skein and replenish, okay? So I do that some, but the majority of the stuff that I buy is for particular projects. Okay, let's see. Number 4 is, where do you store your scraps, and what are things that you use them for? Okay, so for my little small balls of scraps, I mainly store them back there. You see those, and I will show you a close-up view of them in just a minute. But I have some jars back there, plastic jars. I've shown in other videos how my husband attaches them to the pegboards back there. And so those clear containers I mainly use for my very small balls of scraps, okay? And I have one back there that's got zippers in it, and some that's got very tiny scraps that I use for stuffing, okay? So that's one thing I use my scraps for. If it's too small to do anything with, I can always use them as stuffing inside amigurumis, okay? Also, I have a bin over here in the closet, which again I will show you in a minute, and I have my larger balls that I call scraps, or, you know, open skeins, or, you know, big balls about so big, but not really anything that I'm gonna make a big project out of. Okay, so things I use my scraps for are granny squares, of course amigurumis, like maybe the accessories, like if it's a doll, her outfit, because it's not going to take very much for a little skirt or the top or whatever. Scraps for body parts for the amigurumis, since I've been doing the preemie character hats, I can use scrap yarns for like the ears, and even the hats themselves because they're very small. And then if I have very small yarn, not like snips, but I have, strings small enough that I'll cut into strings about so long, different lengths. I've been making these I don't know, the magic cakes, I guess you'd say. I've got 2 of them. My phone was propped up on one, but see, and I have a project in mind. I think I'm going to make some sort of a scrappy type amigurumi character with them, but right now I've just been collecting them into these cakes. So that's what I like to do with scraps. Any small projects I can find. I'm always collecting books that are for scrap crochet projects, either blankets, which would be squares or strips or whatever, or bags or little pouches, like the little needle cases that Karen of Happiness and is Homemade makes. That would be excellent to use for scraps. Use your scraps on. There's all kinds of stuff. Okay. Next one is, and this is number 5, the last question. The last question is, do you inventory your yarn? If so, how? Okay, so no, I don't actually inventory my yarn, except for by sight. I try to put colors together, except for in this wardrobe, it just kind of all willy-nilly. Although, if I do have multiple yarns, I do try to group them together. As far as colors, not so much. But I mean, like if I have 2 skeins of Red Heart Super Saver Cafe Latte, then I try to put them together that way in the same place. So that way I can see, oh yes, I've got 2 of them and I've got whatever, like that. Okay, that's all. I inventory by sight. I don't have a record. I know like on Ravelry there's places that you can inventory your stash and put how much you've got of all these types of yarns, but I'm not that detail oriented, I guess, or not as techy. I don't know, but I don't write them down either. So anyway, that's it. I don't really inventory, just like I said, by sight. Okay, so that's the 5 questions. So now for the next segment, I'm going to it might be a little shaky because I'm going to be holding the camera, but I'm going to show you my stash. Okay, so it's time to flash the stash. Okay, so here's the wardrobe that my mother gave me that she bought at a garage sale, and this is what we did with it. Okay, let's open it up here. Okay, so let me step back. Okay, so there is my worsted weight yarns. Those were 4 hanging shoe organizers. Now they're kind of deep, but they will hold 2 skeins each, end to end, I guess you'd say. Now, they are not all full. Some of those are just singles. I don't have 2 skeins of each of those or anything. Some of them are just singles, but I pull them up toward the front so then you can see them, the different colors. Let me get up here a little bit. Sorry if it's kind of dark, I don't know. So now these 2 up here, that one and this one, those are not worsted. Well, this one might. This one my niece gave me for Christmas, and it's super soft. I haven't used it. This Yarn Bee Luxe Lollies. Okay. And then this one is something I got at Michael's that's like a sock weight type thing, but no wool like. And so that just inspiration to maybe do socks way far in the future. I don't know. But anyway, the rest of all of this, let me pan down, is worsted weight. And like I said, some of these have 2 skeins, one behind the other, and some of them do not. Like, yeah, see that one's got another skein in there. But this pink up here has got 1, and there's nothing behind it. Okay, so some of them are like that. Okay, so there is the wardrobe. And now, let me just show you a before Let me close that up so I can move it. Hopefully not moving too quickly, but I just want to show you. Okay, this is the side of my work table, okay, and this shelf and that shelf right there used to hold my baby yarns, but it was kind of dark in this area and kind of out of the way that I really didn't like them there. So that's one of the things that I did and changed around. I put books that I had on a shelf in the closet, these books and those books, I put them over here, and then where all that was, I put my baby yarns. So I'll show you that in a minute, but I just want to show you that this is a before of what I did with my extra, or the books, okay? So this is inside of my closet, okay? I have I have the bifold doors, and so this is a dresser that we put in the closet that fit just perfect in there. And of course those drawers are full of craft stuff. But anyway, what I was going to show you is this top shelf right here. Not top. This lowest shelf here, sorry. That is where I had a bunch of books. Okay, the books that I just showed you that was in the cubby. And so I took my baby yarn and I put them on this shelf right here. So that way I could see them, see exactly what I had, okay? Because, well, after I got them all out of that cubby and spread out here, I was amazed at how much baby yarn I had. I didn't know I had that much, but it was just kind of out of sight, out of mind, I guess. So I really like the way I've got them all out here so that I can see more at a glance, I guess, exactly what I have. And the only way I organized it is I did blues and greens over here with some blacks and, not black, but grays and white mixture. Kind of like boyish type colors, sort of. And then over here I have my pinks and purples and whites, and I don't have any yellow stuck in there. Well, I'm using my yellow on something right now. But anyway, as you can see, I have pinks and purples and whites mainly. And so that's how I organize them. Now, to keep them up there, my husband had a great idea. I'm going to come up here closer. This right here, right there, is a metal bookend, okay? It's kind of heavy, but it was still sliding with the weight of the yarn. But I have one here, and then I have one, let me pull this out of the way. There you go. See, I have one there, and then of course on the other end of my pink yarns. So what my husband did, since they're metal, I don't know if you can see, but underneath there, he had some real, no, you can't see, but anyway, there's some really heavy magnets that he attached to the bottom underneath it, because this metal, this shelf is metal. And so those magnets, something he had already, I'm not sure. I'd have to find out from him. I don't remember where he got them, but anyway, he put those on there to keep the bookends from sliding with the weight of the yarn, and they are plenty strong to keep them from sliding off. So that worked out really well, and I'm glad he had that idea. Okay, so there's where I put my baby yarn, and so the books that were there, I put them in the cubby that I showed you previously at the end of my work table. Now I'm going to back up, and I'm going to show you below. Okay, now I have, well, let me just say this so I can move this out of the way. This is a bag of my, what I call fancier yarns. I have some stuff that's got wool in there. Sorry for the crinkling, but there's some Knit Picks wool blend, and then I have some nice, this is a beautiful superwash, that one right there, that a friend sent me as some happy mail. And I've got a bag in there that's got a skein of pink and a skein of blue of some really pretty baby superwash merino wool yarn that I will maybe use for grandbabies someday. Who knows? Okay, so that's what's in that bag. But anyway, I have these two bins that I got at Five Below, which is a store that's kind of like a Dollar Tree or dollar store. Everything in there is $5 or below, okay? And so I used to have my Caron Simply Soft stuck in this one. I mean, piled up there. And it was not a good place to put it because I really couldn't tell what I had. It was just all stacked in there. And this one right here, this one on the left, I used for, I was thinking, well, some of the Caron Simply Soft spilled over into this one, but I also was using that to like reserve for certain projects, to reserve the yarn, but that wasn't working out very well. So what I decided to do to change it up is in this one to the left right here, you can see in there, I have my cotton yarns and my scrubbies. I have like 3 of these, I think, my scrubby yarns, but cotton yarns. And then the only other thing I have in there, sorry, is a couple of Annie's hook and needle kits, the kit club that I used to belong to. There's a couple of those in there, and some of them that were actually had cotton. This one like this right here, that was all cotton. So I put them all cottons here mainly, except for this random one there. Now this one that I have my Caron Simply Soft in, I ended up putting my larger balls of scrap yarn in this one. So that way, if I want to use up scraps, I can just take the bin with me, and it does have these little handle holes on the side. Take it with me and then work through my scraps, or at least that's my idea. Anyway, a little tip is I'm always buying fresh asparagus, and they have the rubber bands that are holding the asparagus stalks together, and so I save my rubber bands and I put them around my scrap balls. Yeah, around my scrap balls. Well, this one is so big, that one doesn't have one, but majority of them they do. So that way all these scrap balls won't get all tangled up together with the strings. So that's what I do there. Now I will gonna turn you around and I will show you where I put my Caron Simply Soft that was in that bin. But before I do, I just forgot to show you this, but up there on that shelf up there at the top, see, that is the only Bernat blanket yarns that I have. It was for a project that I was going to do for Christmas, and I didn't. I haven't done it yet. I guess will end up being for maybe this next Christmas. But anyway, that's what I have up there, is my Bernat blanket yarns, and even into that basket right there as well. Okay, now I'll turn you around. Okay, so this is my pegboard, to give you a better close-up look at these hanging containers here. See, I do have some scrap balls, the smaller balls, and I keep them in there because I think they're pretty. but besides that, it will kind of corral the smaller balls, and because in that big bin that I had scrap balls, these little ones would just fall to the bottom. So I have this one, and then I have this one, and then I have this one right there, okay? And this one here, that's full of zippers. I bought like a bulk collection of zippers, like off of Amazon, I think, for project bags and things. And of course, this one is full of the little tiny snips that I use for filling amigurumis, okay? So anyway, there you go. There's my princess dolls that I made last year, I guess. It's been a long time ago. And I didn't do the whole entire collection, but I did do quite a few of the princess dolls from Disney. Okay, now I will show you my last place that I have yarn. That's at least the place that's organized. Okay, and that is right there. Okay, I have a light shining on it, so I'm hoping it's gonna work out okay. Okay, so the top shelf right there, that's all of my Caron Simply Soft. So all of that, pretty much, there's a few that I've added, but pretty much all of that, let's see if I can zoom up here. Yeah, there you go. Was in stuck in those bins in the closet. And so now, since I have them all out, I can see what colors I have. And also that will inspire me to use them as well, because, you know, out of sight, out of mind. Okay, so that's what's on that shelf. Now, that's not all Caron Simply Soft, though. There are a few, like that variegated weight over there is a Red Heart Gumdrop, but the texture reminds me, and the shine, reminds me so much of the Caron Simply Soft. And then I have a couple of Lion Brand Heartland stuck in there because they have a similar texture, sort of. And then some of the everyday Premier yarns that I've recently got, because they, to me, are similar to that Caron Simply Soft, sort of. Anyway, loosely. Okay, now down to the next row, next shelf here. That is my collection of Lion Brand Mandala Cakes. And then I have a few cakes in there. I think that's it, except for that down there in the corner, which was another one of the Annie's Hook and Needle sets. That is a, actually I think that's even finer, like a number 2. There's a pattern that goes with it for a shawl. I just haven't made it. Anyway, so as you can see behind there, that is 2 rows of the cakes, okay? One behind the other. And I set them like that so then I can see the colors instead of stacking them on top of each other. That may not be the best way, but they haven't fallen out yet. But like I said, I do have, that is 2 layers, one right behind the other. So as you can see, I was kind of got crazy a little bit collecting the cakes when they first came out. Well, actually, I was a little bit late collecting them. But then after I started seeing other people using them, I decided that that would be a fun thing to do. And so I started collecting them myself. Don't have all the colors or anything like that. But now I need to find some stuff to make with them to be good stewards of my yarn cakes. Okay, so there you go. That is where I keep my yarn. Now I'm going to set you back on the table again so then I can talk to you and end this video. So that's my stash. I hope you enjoyed the tour of my stash. I'm also hoping that I will look at this video and remind myself how much stash I had at the beginning of this year, since this is February, so it's beginning of the year, or the first quarter of the year anyway, and remind myself how much I had, so that way I can see if I'm really using up my yarn, or not using it up, but using a lot of my yarn up throughout this year. I will check back and see toward the end of the year, I can compare. So that's all. That's the end of this challenge. Please, if you want to take on this challenge and answer the questions that Petra and I came up with, I will put the questions in the description box below, and feel free to make a video of your own showing us the way you store your yarn, answering the questions, and flashing your stash. I'm sure that we can always learn and get new ideas from watching how other people do things. So thanks for watching this video, guys, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.